He screamed it in front of everyone. "Get out! She doesn't want you here!" My son's voice cut through the wedding hall like broken glass. Laughter died mid-echo. Cameras stopped flashing. The bride looked away, her fingers tightening around his arm. I didn't ask why. I didn't plead. I stood, smoothed my dress, and walked out. No words, no scene, only the sound of my heels on marble, echoing through the silence of my own humiliation. Outside, the night smelled of rain and roses, an odd mix of beauty and decay. I sat in my car and watched the lights blur through the windshield. Somewhere in the building behind me, music resumed. Celebration continued without me. My son had chosen his side, and I chose silence. He called the next morning. His tone was casual. "Mom, give me the mansion keys. We're honeymooning there." My fingers tightened around the phone. I could hear her laughter in the background, light, careless, triumphant. The mansion, my late husband's house, my sanctuary, the one place they didn't belong. But I smiled, as if nothing had broken. "Of course," I said softly, "it's yours." He didn't notice the pause. He never noticed much. They arrived that evening. I handed him the keys myself. She stood beside him in her white dress, the same one she'd worn the night before, the hem stained with spilled champagne. Her smile was delicate but hollow, like porcelain that's been repaired too many times. "Thank you," she said, her eyes lingering a little too long on mine. I nodded. "You'll find everything ready." She didn't know how true that was. I watched their car disappear down the road, taillights bleeding red into the dark. My reflection in the glass was calm, almost detached. Only my hands betrayed me, shaking faintly, like an echo of something human I hadn't yet silenced. It hadn't always been this way. Once, I loved him beyond reason, my only son, the last living piece of a man who died too soon. I raised him alone, fed him dreams, pride, and the illusion of loyalty. And then she appeared, sweet, fragile, dangerous. The girl who smiled at me like I was already a ghost. At first, I tried to like her, but her eyes always wandered when I spoke. Her compliments came wrapped in subtle dismissal. I saw it, the way she leaned into him, whispering, isolating. How she made my son laugh at me, softly, as if I were just a story they'd outgrown. Betrayal doesn't happen in a single moment. It's a slow erosion, one polite smile at a time. The night before their engagement, I heard them whispering in the hall. Her voice first, sharp, impatient. "She doesn't need to be there. It's our future now." Then his. "She's my mother." A pause. "She was," she corrected. That word stayed with me. Was. I began to watch her more closely. When she thought I wasn't looking, her phone glowed in her lap. A message thread scrolled too quickly for friendship. The name, hidden under initials, was familiar. Too familiar. It took only one quiet search through her call log to confirm it. The number belonged to my late husband's lawyer, the same lawyer who handled the estate, the mansion, the inheritance. She had always known what she wanted, and she had found the easiest way to get it, through my son. The security cameras in the mansion had been offline for years, or so everyone believed. I reactivated them a month before the wedding. Every room, every corner. Not for protection, for truth. I'd watched enough to know how often she visited alone, how my son arrived later, smiling, unaware of what had already taken place in those rooms. It was the library camera that caught it first, her hand in another man's hair, her lips whispering promises that weren't meant for my son. Then the bedroom, the same bed she would now share with him as his wife. So when he asked for the mansion, I didn't hesitate. I let them walk into the stage I had prepared. Inside, everything was pristine. Clean sheets, chilled champagne, fresh flowers by the bed. The television remote rested on the nightstand, the playlist already cued. They believed I had left them a gift. In a way, I had. Later that night, I sat by the fireplace at home, tea growing cold in my hands. I imagined the moment it would happen, the screen flickering on, the laughter fading into confusion, the images playing, slow, undeniable, her face, her voice, her betrayal. Not rumor, not accusation, proof. I didn't need to see it. I had seen enough already. He called just after midnight. No greeting, just ragged breathing. "What did you do?" My tone was calm. "What did you see?" A pause, static, then a sound, half sob, half disbelief. "Is this real?" "Yes." You ruined me." "No," I whispered. "She did. I just gave you the truth." He tried to speak again, but his voice cracked, collapsing into silence. Then the call ended. I imagined him standing in that room, her wedding dress discarded on the floor, his face reflecting in the dark screen that had just devoured his illusions. She would be crying, reaching for excuses, weaving lies too late to matter. He would look at her the way I once looked at him, searching for the child I'd loved, finding only a stranger. Morning arrived quiet. I poured coffee, watching the pale sun wash over the garden. No calls came after that, no messages, only the slow, heavy silence of things that cannot be undone. I didn't go back to the mansion. I didn't need to. The house had finally served its purpose, to hold the truth until it was ready to be seen. People say revenge burns. They're wrong. It freezes. It stills the heart until there is nothing left but clarity. I didn't ruin my son's marriage. I simply unwrapped it. He built his happiness on deception. She built hers on ambition. And I built my silence into a mirror. They will live in that mansion for the rest of their lives, perhaps. Or maybe they'll leave, unable to bear its walls. But every time they see a screen flicker on, every time a reflection moves where none should, they'll remember. The video, the truth, the night the lights refused to lie. I finished my coffee, locked my phone, and stepped outside. The air was sharp, clean. There was nothing left to reclaim, only peace, the cold kind that comes after the storm. He screamed at his wedding. Now, silence is all he has left, and silence was mine to give.